Scorpio, welcome back if you are returning. Excuse me. And welcome if you are new. This is Cosmic Cassie. We're going to be doing Scorpio's monthly reading for September. We're going to be focusing on love and relationships in this reading. We are going to use this deck instead. Scorpio, do not take it if it does not resonate. Meaning, do not try to push, pull, tug, and shove the reading into your life. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. If you would like to check out a different reading or you just want to know more anyways, always check out your sun, moon, rising signs. Venus sign can be revealing as well. With the rising sign, I always recommend it because it does not change like the sun and the moon signs do. So it's more consistent, accurate, and long-term future as far as where your life is going. So those readings tend to be bullseye when it comes to where you're heading on your journey, things like that. Scorpio, let's go ahead and jump into the reading. I feel like we already got cards coming out. What does Scorpio need to know for the month of September with love and relationships? We have divergence. What does Scorpio need to know in September about love and relationships? Woo. Woo. We'll take this one since it flipped over. And one more. Let's get one more out here. And by the way, Scorpio, if you do win a personal reading, that is going to happen on my website, which is in the description box below. And definitely like and subscribe if you want to stay updated on the monthly readings as well as the full moon, new moon readings that I do each month for every sign. Show me one more for Scorpio. What do they need to know about love and relationships in September? And Creed. All right. So we have divergence, tomb, and greed. Scorpio, I'm going to say that for September, sorry, my OCD is kicking in. For September, Scorpio, there's a lot of, there is this like internal awakening and this internal change that's happening for you. But at the same time, it's almost like you're standing in your own ways, the way I feel that. It's like you're the one stopping your own progress. You're the one getting like involved in your own growth, and it's making it stop. Because we start off with divergence and it feels like this very beautiful, enlightening, recovery, really beautiful energy. So in regards to love and relationships, this is almost like being really healthy, having amazing communication, opening up. It's like there's positive things happening with how we express and receive our love and relationship energy. Okay, and that's with us giving it as well as taking it. And grief fell out as I'm talking about divergence. So that also kind of lets me know maybe this is why we keep standing in our own way, Scorpio. Because it's like as soon as we start to bloom and expand and like really get into this different energy that's very beautiful, the tomb shows me that it's almost like we go back to our own ways. Like we're stopping our own progress, and then we start thinking about like, well, what's in it for me? How do I get what I want? It's like we get too focused on yourself. And in a relationship, it's meant to be both people. You can't just focus on you. You have to focus on the entity that you are, the unity between you two. And with grief falling out as I'm talking about divergence, that makes me kind of wonder if that's part of the reason why we keep almost retracting and going backwards here, is because we suddenly get triggered by grief. Like, is this grief that we're ignoring? Is this grief that has already happened? And it's kind of like one of those wounds that we just haven't really healed. It could be grief that we're also avoiding. Okay. And so we get into these states where we're like at a high, we feel really good. We're really happy. We're really expressive. We're very emotional. We're balanced. We're communicative. It's like in a really healthy, positive energy. And then suddenly it happens so quickly that it almost feels like a trigger. Because then suddenly we go back to the old ways, and it's all about like me. I gotta protect me. I gotta watch out for me. I gotta look out for me. I have to make sure I'm okay. It's like we keep getting triggered to go back into this very, I'll call it as I see it. It's like it's a selfish energy. It's a very self-absorbed energy here. But I don't think that you're experiencing it in that way. I don't think that you would label it selfish because you're not feeling it from a place of trying to be selfish. It's more like you're feeling it from a place of trying to protect yourself, trying to make sure that you're not giving too much. So in the past, you might have been extremely selfless, and you might have been really like open and vulnerable with your emotions, given your all to someone, or in relationships in general. This is like an energy of, like I touched the stove too many times, and so now I'm like too scared to touch it, which, in that way is good because it's a stove. But when it comes to love and relationships, that's not a good thing to learn or to take out of it, because it's not even that you're closed off. It's like the moment that you start to get into that like really expressive, generous, abundant love energy, there's something that immediately triggers you to revert back to like this secluded and closed energy of like, I gotta watch out for me, I gotta make sure I'm okay. And that means like maybe we start manipulating people, maybe we break things off, maybe we even start like lying, or we start accusing, like we get kind of like overly paranoid is how I feel it, about like what's happening around us, or like thinking our lover is like suddenly cheating on us or something like this. There could be a lot of also like defensiveness, and I just get a lot of triggering, like a lot of trigger after trigger. And it's like, Scorpio, you keep going in the right direction, and then you suddenly just you revert back to old ways, and it's keeping you from, I think, having a really loving, beautiful relationship. It keeps making the old problems become new problems, when it's like those really shouldn't be problems at all. But every time you move past them, you jump right back into them. Okay, show me the tomb. What is the tomb here? And that, what the tomb makes me feel, that's the defensiveness, that's the guarding, but it's like you're guarding something that's not worth guarding, right? The tomb is like, it's not, why guard the dead people? They're dead. They're not going to come back alive, but yet it's like, oh, but I need to go back and guard them. I need to shield and protect them. And it's like it's not real. That's not real. With meditation, clarifying the tomb, it definitely gives me this sense of like, again, it's like this oppositional energy here that comes in. That meditation feels very, it's like this trapped energy. I don't know, Scorpio, it's like you keep going back and forth, because the tomb gives me one energy, and then meditation gives me the very opposite energy, where it's like, okay, but then I meditate and I recenter, and I realize that like I don't need to self-protect, and I don't need to awaken the dead things that I've already released and let go of. And we start to become more like aware and conscious and enlightened, and to move out of that state. And then we get triggered to go right back into it. Let me see, what is the trigger here? Is grief the trigger? What is the trigger for Scorpio? Why do we keep going backwards? We move out of it, and then we move right back into it. Intellect, you're overthinking things. It's your mind. Your mind is what's making you go back and forth. And that's kind of how that feels too, is like we get really spiritual, we get really in tune with self, we get really into the flow, and we're feeling a lot of abundance and love, connectivity, and then suddenly we do the opposite, and it's like, oh wait, I can't be this free and this loving, I can't be this, out here and vulnerable like this. I can't stay in this mode forever, because if I do, then I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to be betrayed. I'm going to be taken advantage of. I'm going to be overlooked. It's like we get into the right state of mind and the state of self, and we get into this very spiritual, loving, beautiful place. And then the mind kind of interrupts it and is like, hey, don't do all this, because it makes you like you got a target on your back when you're out here being like this. And so then we revert back to, okay, I got to be like everyone else. I have to be really cautious and guarded, and I have to like make sure I'm good. I got to watch out for me. And so I think it's your mind, it's your thoughts that continuously interrupt this beautiful flowing energy here. Show me the greed. Show me the greed for Scorpio. What is the greed? And the greed here is, excuse me, is death. And that's exactly what I was feeling, because it's like, what it's trying to say is with death, it's like you can't just stay in that state, in that flow state, because you feel like you're going to lose everything. So then it's like you revert back into this like greedy, selfish energy. But again, I don't think that you would feel it or experience it, because in your mind, you're not being greedy or selfish. You're being self-protective. You're being self-reliant. You're making sure that you're good, that you're okay. You're making sure that you come first, and I got to make sure I'm good no matter what. But what it's energetically showing as is this fear of like loss, of not having enough, of things being taken from you. That's the death, is like, I fear not having what I need, not being who I am, not, thriving, not being loved. It's like, whatever it is for you, there's a fear that we suddenly have this like very lack and like terminal ending kind of energy. And so it sucks us right back into like, well, I need to look out for me, and I need to make sure I'm good and I'm okay. Show me, what's the advice for moving through September for Scorpio? What's the advice to move through this energy in September for Scorpio? So this is definitely, I think, the sun. I think this is definitely affecting love and relationship energy, because it's like the moment you try to open up and be loving and welcoming and generous with someone that you love, or any of your relationships, it's like you keep unconsciously getting triggered back into this, like, they're taking advantage of me, they're using me, they're going to take everything from me, they wouldn't do this for me. It's like we get back into this very personalized energy of feeling like attacked, instead of allowing ourselves to stay in this very loving, abundant, generous state with people. And I think the way that people would perceive that is like, Scorpio keeps getting mad at me for no reason, like every time we have such a good time together and we're flowing and we're doing so many amazing things together, and then suddenly they're like really standoffish and really abrupt and kind of like, distancing themselves. And then it's like, Scorpio, you get back into that state again, because then you kind of go to this meditation process and you're like, okay, no, like I'm safe to love. And then you start loving, and then the moment you start loving, it's like, wait, no, love means they're going to take advantage of me, they're going to take everything from me, they're going to betray me. It's like, and it's not even that it's a fear, that like, because of past experiences you have this fear of these things happening. It's more like being triggered into the fear of being in that energy, the consequences of being in that energy rather than the benefits of being in that energy is what comes to mind. With the sun as the way to move through this energy in the month of September, Scorpio, follow your happiness, follow your bliss. Like, you have to do the thing that makes you feel good, because even when I was like tapping it energetically, when you're being in that flow state, that loving state, that abundant, generous, connected state, you feel so good. Like, it feels like you enjoy doing that and being that and showing up that way for others. It actually helps you feel better, like, and you just feel happier. But the moment we get triggered to go the opposite way and like close all of that off and be all about ourselves, like that energy emotionally feels different. I don't feel you being happy when you do that. It doesn't feel satisfying or fulfilling. It feels anxious, it feels stressed, it feels paranoid, overthinking, frightened, even like just like like you feel betrayed even though there is no real betrayal. And it's because it's taxing on your mind and telling you to feel betrayed, like you're getting betrayed, but you're not. So with the sun, it's saying do the thing that makes you happy, even if the consequences lead to you being betrayed or you being taken advantage of or you being used. Don't focus on the outcomes of what happens when you are a certain way. Focus on how you feel when you are that way. And that's what you got to do this month in September, is focus on, man, do I feel really good when I'm being generous and abundant and loving and expressive and caring and giving? Like, does that make me feel good? It does make me feel good. So regardless of what happens from me being that way and doing that, showing up in that energy, no matter what happens, the fact is I felt good doing it. So that outweighs any outcome that could possibly be created from me being that way. I hope you get what I'm saying here, Scorpio. But again, if you want a private reading, my website is cosmiccassie.com. It's in the description box below. I'll be doing your career and finance reading later in the month, as well as the new moon and full moon readings. So I will catch you then, Scorpio. Please make sure you like and subscribe to stay tuned and updated on the readings that do come out for you. Bye.